As time went on, there were different stages in my marriage where Will and I decided we were not together, where we didn't tell the public, right? Where I was actually thinking about divorcing, separating. I mean, there have been several of those, right? And where we've gone and lived our separate lives. So I think within that is where people might have thought that, oh, they must be having an open relationship. And we just didn't want people to know the dynamic of what was happening between us. We didn't think that that was anybody else's business. And so I think that that's where sometimes that confusion came in.
At this point, nobody is pretending anymore. After years of confusing statements, uncomfortable honesty, and nonstop public debates, the situation between Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith has reached a moment that feels impossible to ignore. What once looked like a powerful bond now feels more like a long-running standoff, and people everywhere are questioning whether this relationship has been emotionally over for a long time already. For a long time now, the vibe around their relationship has felt heavy, strained, and almost forced, like two people trying to prove something instead of actually living it. There's only so much emotional stress anyone can handle before checking out, and many feel that moment has been building for years. The big question is, what finally pushed things over the edge, and why now? Some are wondering if this sudden shift has anything to do with those long-running rumors about Will that never seem to fully disappear. Those whispers have been circling for years, popping up every time their relationship makes headlines. And while nothing has ever been clearly confirmed, the timing has people talking louder than ever. What makes this whole situation even crazier is how different things used to look. There was a time when Will and Jada were seen as untouchable, like the gold standard of Hollywood love. People admired how they seemed so solid in an industry where relationships rarely last. They were praised for their honesty, their openness, and their commitment to doing things their own way. But once the entanglement situation came to light back in 2020, everything changed fast. That moment didn't just spark conversations, it flipped their entire public image upside down.
It is not his responsibility to make you happy. He can't. It's impossible. But it took me forever. Hard-headed, stubborn, because that romantic idea. And that's why I talk about checking the boxes. It's like, I did everything I was supposed to do. You get to have your dream. How come I'm not having mine? And that's because Will was doing what he wanted to do.
Suddenly, admiration turned into confusion, jokes, and nonstop criticism. People stopped seeing them as inspirational and started questioning everything they said. A lot of the heat landed on Will, with many struggling to understand how he handled the situation. Viewers couldn't wrap their heads around the idea that he appeared to accept another man being involved with his wife, especially with it being discussed so openly. That moment stuck, and no matter how much they tried to move forward, the public never fully let it go. Even after all that chaos, Will and Jada insisted they were locked in for life. They spoke about commitment, growth, and staying together no matter what, trying to present their bond as something deeper than a traditional marriage, but behind the scenes, more cracks kept showing. Then in 2023, Jada released her book and made things even more complicated. She revealed that their relationship had serious issues from very early on, which surprised a lot of people who thought the problem started later. On top of that, Will's own book from 2021 already hinted at tension and unfaithfulness, making it clear that the struggle wasn't new at all. Now, with everything piled together, people are questioning whether this partnership was ever as strong as it was sold to be in the first place. Then everything really cracked wide open once Jada Pinkett Smith decided to tell her side in her book, and that's when people realized just how deep the disconnect actually was. She revealed that she and Will Smith had been separated in every way except on paper since 2016, living completely different lives while still presenting a united front to the world.
Will then went on a profane tirade warning Chris not to mention his wife's name. Jada couldn't believe what she was hearing.
What is going on? Now, first of all, I'm really shocked because mind you, I'm not there. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time. I'm like, what is going on right
keep
now?
my wife's name
out of your mouth, right? And I'm like, but now I'm really worried for Will because I don't know what's going on.
What viewers did not see at the time, while Oscar clips were being shown, was Chris Rock leaning over the stage.
That alone shocked people because for years they were still showing up together like everything was solid. Jada also admitted that unhappiness had slowly crept into their relationship, but she said she stayed because of a promise she made early on. According to her, she told Will before they even got married that divorce was never supposed to be an option. Separation was one thing, but officially ending the marriage was off the table in her mind. That belief shaped everything about how they moved, including their decision to skip a prenup and redefine marriage as a long-term partnership instead of a traditional setup. On top of that, their image together was powerful. As a couple, they had built a brand that was respected, admired, and profitable. Breaking that apart didn't just feel emotional, it felt like tearing down an entire legacy they had worked years to build. From the outside, it looked strategic, but behind closed doors, things were clearly far from peaceful. Where things started getting confusing for the public was how uneven this separation seemed to be. Jada spoke openly about moving on emotionally and romantically, but many people felt like Will was still holding on. From the outside, it didn't look like two people on the same page. It looked like one person moving forward and the other still fighting for something that might not have existed anymore. That confusion exploded right before Jada's book dropped, when Will found himself at the center of one of the biggest controversies of his career. During a live awards show, he walked on stage and struck Chris Rock after a joke was made about Jada. When people replayed the footage, many noticed Will initially laughing, only to switch once he saw Jada's reaction. That moment changed everything instantly. The fallout was brutal. Will faced intense backlash, lost major opportunities, and had to publicly apologize just to begin repairing the damage to his reputation. It was a turning point that followed him everywhere, and many assumed he acted out of loyalty and protection toward his wife. But when Jada's book finally came out, her response caught people off guard. Instead of standing beside him, she made it clear that Will's actions were his own and had nothing to do with her. That separation suddenly felt very real to people watching from the outside. It gave the impression that Will was defending a relationship that, at that point, only existed in name.
I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they've spoken on several times, and it, not involving romanticism. He gave me his blessing, and I totally gave myself to that relationship for years.
For many, that moment sealed the confusion around their partnership. What was once framed as unity now looked like two people moving in completely different directions, even during the most intense public moment of their lives. That moment changed how a lot of people viewed the whole situation, and it left a bad taste that still hasn't gone away. It's one thing to disagree with someone behind closed doors, but watching Jada Pinkett Smith publicly distance herself when Will Smith was under fire made people stop and really think. From the outside looking in, it felt like Will had been standing alone, holding down a relationship that the other person had already emotionally walked away from. What made it even more uncomfortable for viewers was the contrast. Will kept showing up, defending, protecting, and making it clear he was committed no matter what. Meanwhile, Jada's energy suggested she had already checked out, at least on a public level. That imbalance sparked nonstop conversations, with many saying it looked like Will was fighting for something that no longer existed the way he believed it did. Since then, the two haven't really been seen together unless it involves family obligations. No cozy appearances, no united front, no casual outings that scream, "We're solid." Instead, Will has been moving like a man fully focused on staying busy. He recently dropped new music and has been popping up overseas, performing in public spaces, and connecting with fans like he's on a full reset tour.
And you weren't together.
We weren't together as, we were family. I was there with him as family, but we weren't together.
During one of those performances in London, things really caught attention when Will shared a very close, very intense moment on stage with singer India Martinez. The chemistry didn't go unnoticed, and people watching couldn't help but talk about how personal it looked. It wasn't subtle, and it wasn't brushed off either. Photos and clips from backstage only added fuel to the conversation. India was seen getting very comfortable around Will, even appearing ready to jump into his arms like this was something natural between them. To the public, it didn't look like a casual collaboration. It looked like two people spending real time together and enjoying it. Before long, social media was treating them like an unofficial item. They were popping up in each other's spaces, spending time together, and clearly vibing. And while nothing was formally announced, the energy spoke louder than words. Many people couldn't help but notice that Will looked lighter, freer, and more present than he had in years. That's where the criticism really started to shift. Some began questioning why Will seemed to be doing everything except sitting down and addressing the marriage he once claimed he was committed to for life. From music releases to international appearances, it looked like he was choosing movement over reflection. At the same time, whispers started growing louder that there simply wasn't anything left to save. According to the talk circulating, Will being away so often wasn't about avoiding home, it was about the fact that there was no real home to return to in that sense anymore. The emotional foundation was already gone.
PR of it all. The life partnership is not working. He has a woman that he's in love with, and she is not Black. And he is now talking to lawyers. The issue, and so he is setting up to divorce.
Ever since the entanglement situation became public years ago, Will's reputation has been under a microscope. His career, his image, and his personal life have all been questioned nonstop. Moments that once would have been ignored now get dissected frame by frame. The public humiliation hit hard, and it reshaped how people see him. The confident, put-together image he carried for decades took a serious hit. Now, instead of being viewed as untouchable, many see him as someone who's been emotionally dragged through the mud while trying to stay loyal to a situation that kept shifting. At this point, people aren't just watching for drama anymore. They're watching to see whether Will finally chooses himself. The way things look now, the story feels less about a marriage and more about one person learning very publicly when to let go. Even with all the nonstop scrutiny, backlash, and uncomfortable headlines, one thing people can't ignore is that Will Smith has managed to keep his career standing upright. His name still carries weight, his work still gets attention, and his legacy hasn't completely collapsed the way many thought it might. That alone surprises a lot of people, especially considering how public everything became. What stands out even more is that Jada Pinkett Smith hasn't really stepped in to help protect that image, at least not in a visible way. There haven't been strong public defenses, no consistent support campaigns, nothing that screams teamwork. Because of that, many are starting to believe that the marriage itself may have done more damage to Will's reputation than any single scandal ever did. Some insiders are even suggesting that Will has finally reached a realization that took years to sink in. The idea that he needed this marriage to survive may not be true anymore. From the outside, it honestly looks like he's been lighter, more expressive, and way more energized since stepping away from that situation emotionally.
Dear Will Smith, someone has to say it. Jada don't want you no more. You know, when she bought the farm in Maryland and she decided that that was going to be her thing, you should have left her right here in the good state of Maryland. Let me tell you why. I think Jada married Will because obviously he was like a great catch, right? It's Will Smith. He's on the precipice of being this major superstar. He accomplishes all of those things. And I think she was pressured from family and friends and outside influences. I don't think it's what Jada wanted to do. Jada is not happy with herself. I think now that she's promoting her book Worthy and she's getting...
For the first time in a long time, he looks like someone moving forward instead of someone constantly explaining himself. That shift in energy hasn't gone unnoticed either. The way Will has been showing up publicly, especially after that very talked about on-stage moment with India Martinez, has people saying that might have been the final straw. Not because of the moment itself, but because of what it symbolized. To many, it looked like Will finally choosing presence, connection, and freedom over obligation. And let's be real, When you factor in the fact that there's no prenup involved, it's hard to imagine this ending quietly. If a divorce does happen, most people expect it to be complicated, emotional, and very public. Still, despite how messy it could get, there's one thing nearly everyone agrees on. This split feels overdue. This relationship has been showing cracks for years, and a lot of people believe it stayed together longer than it should have because of promises, image, and fear of change. Sometimes settling feels safer than starting over, but safety doesn't always equal happiness. Just because two people care about each other doesn't mean they're meant to stay together forever. You can't build a solid partnership unless both people are equally invested, emotionally present, and aligned in what they want. From the outside, it stopped looking balanced a long time ago. And honestly, this might be the happiest and most relaxed Will has appeared in years, which says a lot. At this point, the biggest question isn't whether they care about each other anymore. It's whether they're finally ready to let go. Their children are grown, their lives are established, and the chapter they've been forcing might already be closed emotionally. Sometimes walking away isn't failure, it's freedom. So now it's on the table. Do you think Will and Jada will actually make that final move and officially divorce? Or do you think they'll continue holding onto a label that no longer fits? This situation has people divided, and everyone seems to have an opinion. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And before you go, check out the next video popping up on your screen right now for even more celebrity drama and deep dives. I'll see you in the next one.